Hello and welcome to Zed Reviews. My name's Tom, and this is the first review I've done in a while. I've been really busy with the holidays, with work up until the holidays, working on my Jeep, etc. So I haven't gotten to do many of these, so I'm hoping to kind of video dump a few of them. But I needed to get out the big one, and that is Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. I saw this a couple weeks ago, so I'm kind of looking at a character list to remember all their names right now. But I'll get right into Act 1, the expectations. Now, I was one of the few people that was skeptical about this movie. A lot of people I talked to were extremely excited, ready for this movie to be great, but I was skeptical. I am not sure. I don't know how I feel about having a Star Wars every year. I love Star Wars, which is why I went to see this film. But every Star Wars movie up until this point, even the prequels, it was an event. Every one of them, even the first, all the way back to A New Hope, it was an event. It had a slow start, but it was an event. Now it's just this year's Star Wars spin-off, and the spin-offs themselves kind of bother me because I like the idea of a spin-off, but not as what this felt like to me, which was a stopgap or a field filler. Something you just place in there to keep everybody appetized or just to take up a spot. Like if you have a batting lineup and you put in one guy that's mediocre or not very good because that's all you got. But that's not all Star Wars has. There's a huge universe that they kind of threw away in the canon, but instead we decided to focus on basically a prequel and literally filling the gap between Episode 3 and A New Hope. So I was skeptical going into this, but of course I go into every movie hoping to enjoy it, as every movie fan does. Which, moving on to the film itself, it's too long. I'm gonna jump into it right there, and I'm gonna post spoiler alert because I'm probably going to spoil. I don't think I can review this right without somebody complaining about spoilers. So spoiler alert. It was too long. It needed there was a lot left that they could have chopped. There was a lot of fat that they could have chopped out. Especially in the lead up. Uh, the last 45 minutes, fantastic. Everything before then, bloated. I we don't need to spend all that time with all the characters, especially especially build up that for me didn't work. I didn't care about Jyn Erso by the time we built up all the way to the point where she tries to steal the plans. The only reason I was into that is because of course they're going to go on this mission to steal the plans. A lot of the characters felt a little dead to me, especially Jen. She was kind of dead-eyed and did not really have a character arc. She was the same person at the beginning of the movie as at the end. That's not always a bad thing, but she, it's hard to describe, but just didn't grab me the way that Daisy Ridley did with Rey. Rey was an interesting character. Rey was charismatic. Jin, not so much. Kind of just a jerk for the most part. Uh, the wisecracking droid, obviously comic relief, very good comic relief, and of course Wash playing Alan Tudyk playing him was pretty hilarious. And of course Donnie Yen's character, I can't pronounce his character's name, but he was probably the one that I was really interested in and that I wish we spent more time on. We spent plenty of time with the others, and I don't care, but Donnie Yen, I want to see more of him. that guy that guy seemed like a Jedi. He seemed like a Force user in a world with not enough Jedis to train him. So that was pretty intriguing to see how one can use the Force without wielding around a lightsaber and pushing people around with it. He was using it to essentially help overcome his blindness. Uh, we had we had a CGI Tarkin. I have a big problem with that one because from the moment he stepped on screen, it was distracting. I expected something like that, and I accepted it in Tron Legacy because Clue was a program, and so CGI Jeff Bridges, I could buy that, and they only used the CGI Jeff Bridges in real life for a small amount of time. But Tarkin was a big part of this movie, and it felt digital. There's no way around it. He's it's not it just wasn't Peter Cushing. It wasn't. I could tell from the moment he stepped on screen, every every line he spoke just felt fake because it was. I I just couldn't I couldn't get I just couldn't get behind that. It makes me wonder if it makes me curious as to whether we're really recasting Han Solo or if they're just gonna digitally throw his face on there too, Harrison Ford's young face. They did with Leia with Carrie Fisher already, and that was just as weird looking. Uh, you can My problem with a lot of these CGI characters just you can recast. It's okay, and I've it's almost insulting that you can't recast some of these characters like Tarkin. You can recast Tarkin. I loved him from the original movie, but you can recast that. And you can recast someone that looks kind of like Carrie Fisher to not have a speaking role. You can do that. You don't have to CGI characters in. It was just weird to see. And it bothered me. And maybe I'm nitpicking, and yes, I do nitpick a lot, but it bothered me. Uh, but the last 45 minutes of this film were very good. Very, very good. And if for Darth Vader in the last 45 minutes, the last few minutes when he comes in and just wrecks the entire hallway, love it. If that was the only Vader in that movie, it would have been phenomenal. But it wasn't. Another problem. Too much. I never thought I would say too much Vader, but there was too much Vader. I didn't need to see the weird liquid scene. We don't need to see that. We don't need to see the discussion with him and the Imperial Commander. You don't need to see that stuff. And we definitely don't need Darth Vader making a pun. I'm going to take a minute to talk about the fact that Disney puns are getting out of hand. When the most evil guy in the galaxy that was basically Space Hitler when he was originally created, when he makes a pun, we have a problem here. And the worst part was the pun didn't even make sense. Try not to choke on your ambitions. What? What does that even mean? Oh, but speaking role aside, Vader was phenomenal at the end, and the movie was really good at the end, but didn't save the fact that I didn't care about the entire first part, and there were way too many cuts. The first half was highly edited, and needed to be edited a little more. So many cuts. There have been complaints about a lot of movies, rightfully so, of all those cuts. But this movie jumped around a lot in the first, I'd say, hour, 15 minutes, hour and a half. It's very jumbly in the first half. So, my rant over. we'll get to my results. And it while it did entertain me more than I thought it would, those problems just stuck with me a lot, and that's more than I can say about a lot of the movies that came out this year. Well, I mean, a lot of the movies had the same issues where you had many issues, but in the end, I liked them. But with this one, with Rogue One, the issues to me didn't balance out with the stuff I loved, which was the last 45 minutes. And for that, less than half a movie does not make a great movie. Therefore, I give it 2.5 out of 5 puns. I give it a low rating and probably don't even have it in my top 10 of the year. In a fairly weak year, Rogue One, even though I didn't have high expectations, was a bit of a disappointment. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. Now, stay tuned. I'll also dump my top 10 movies of the year, and eventually I'll get to a Star Wars movie rankings, which may anger a lot of people because Rogue One obviously won't be towards the top. So, like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at RogueRaider3. If you want to hear the ramblings of a madman. So, stay tuned. I will hopefully be throwing these reviews out here a lot more often, but we are getting into the cold season, and cold season both, in my state and with movies. So I might throw in some older movies. Any suggestions, please email me at zreviews@gmail.com. And see you again soon. Bye bye.